We all make mistakes at the craps table. Hopefully we learn from them. I've been guilty of making some of these mistakes in the past. I see them a lot at the table. So today I'm going to go over 5 of the most common mistakes that I see at the craps table. What's up everybody, Chris the Dice DGen here. And today we're going to be going over some common mistakes I see at the craps table. Some may say these are beginner mistakes. They might be. I do see them quite often with a lot of players at the table. Now I'm not saying everyone I play with is very experienced, experts at the game of craps if you want to say. But for the most part, these are mistakes that I see on a regular basis on my casino trips. So the first mistake that I see a lot is table etiquette. Now, there's a lot of things that go into what is table etiquette, and some people may have certain things in their mind that is table etiquette, certain things that aren't table etiquette. I'm gonna go over just a general sort of idea of table etiquette, right? So one of the first things that I see very common is not buying in at the right time. So you come to the table, people buy in whenever they want. What you want to do is you want to wait for the puck to be off. If the puck is on, do not buy into the game. It slows the game down. The shooter might get a little bit annoyed. Other people at the table might get a little bit annoyed because now the whole table has to wait for you to get paid out by the dealer and get your money and then see if you want to place any bets or anything like that. It slows the game down. So when the puck is on, do not buy into the game. Some dealers will let you buy into the game. Again, you might get some dirty looks, you might get some comments, all different kind of things. So the best practice is to buy in when the puck is off. Some dealers will not let you buy in when the puck is on, but some will. So as a good rule of thumb, buy in when the puck is off. Whether the shooter just 7'd out, whether they just hit their point, whatever the case is, when the puck is off, that's when you should buy into the game. Another etiquette related thing is when the shooter has the dice or is getting the dice. You don't want to be throwing bets in at that time. You want to have your bets in before the stick man starts pushing the dice to the shooter or when the shooter has the dice. What happens when the dice are out and you're putting money out on the table is your hand is across the table. If those dice hit your hand and they roll a 7, well, you basically just caused the 7. Now, was a 7 bound to happen on the actual roll? Who knows? But now everyone kind of has a scapegoat, you, for the reason the 7 came out because your hands were across the table. As a good rule of thumb, bet before the dice are even pushed. And if you see the stickman starting to push the dice, you can always tell the dealer, set the money aside in your rack and say, I want a $10 5 or I want a $15 5. You can drop the money afterwards. But when the dice are being pushed, do not be calling out bets and throwing bets out so the dice don't hit your hand and ruin the game. Also, again with the hands, when you're at the craps table, right, a lot of people like to lean on the table. Now, I can't really lean on my table, but at an actual craps table, some people like to lean. When you're leaning, make sure you keep your hands back and not over the table. So if you're leaning here with your hands over the table and the dice hit your hands, again, could cause a 7, could cause problems. It's just bad etiquette to have your hands over the table. So that's what dealing with hands. Another thing that could, have some people a little frustrated with you and stuff is when you're betting the dark side or when you're betting the don't pass or the don't come and you're waiting for that 7 to come out. Try to avoid saying 7. Some people are very superstitious. Some people will get mad at you if you say the number 7. Now, we all play the dark side, at least a majority of us probably have, or we've thought about it. I've played the dark side myself. But when I do, I place my don't pass line. I'll, place the don't come. I'll lay certain numbers. I'm not cheering when the 7 comes. Yes, I did make money on that. But as a good rule of thumb, the whole table is, working together to beat the casino. Now, you may make money on a shooter who's rolling a 7, which good for you if you are, but try to avoid cheering or, rooting for that 7 to come out. Some people will get very frustrated. Myself personally, I go both ways depending on how the night's going. A little bit of emotions, to be completely honest with you. If I have somebody who's right next to me and they're consistently betting that don't pass, they're calling 7s, like hop the 7s, they're doing all this stuff while I'm shooting, it does annoy me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. We're human, it's gonna affect me. But for the most part, just try not to, cheer for a 7. Try to avoid saying 7 or big red, or, frowned upon at the table for the most part. And some people, like I said, are very superstitious with that kind of thing. Another aspect that some people get annoyed with in terms of etiquette is dice setting. Now, if you're not familiar with dice setting, it's, taking the dice and setting them a specific way. So when I play craps, I do set the dice the same way every single time. Just how I like to play. It's how I feel I do better when I play. Some people have an opinion on dice setting. Some people have negative. Some people have a positive opinion. Up to you what you want to think about it. But some people get mad at people for dice setting and taking too long. Don't be one of those people. If somebody is doing their dice set and they take a little bit of time, just relax, take a sip of your drink, do something other than get frustrated with them, because it's just going to lead to a bad overall vibe at the table. You're going to get annoyed. Some people do take a lot of time. I'm not going to lie. I've seen it at the casino. I've seen people take, 30 seconds of taking the dice, setting them, and then, rolling them around, doing whatever. That's how they want to play. Maybe it works out for you. Maybe it doesn't. Just let the person be. If there is a real problem, the stick man or the dealers, they will, tell people, all right, let's, shoot a little quicker, things like that. But for the most part, just relax. You're at the casino, you're trying to have a good time. Order a drink, drink your drink, and hope that shooter and their little superstitious thing that they do works out well for you. And finally, in terms of table etiquette, the craps tables can get very busy. And I know with COVID right now, some people don't want to be right next to somebody. I get it. I don't like having people right up against me either. But if there's room at the table, don't be one of those people who's, has your shoulders out like this. You're standing, big like this so you can block up a couple spots. Other people want to play the game too. Let them in. A good rule of thumb that I use for this is if somebody wants to come right next to me, I'm nice to the person. Again, you are playing with the people, so, just be nice, be cordial, all that kind of stuff. And when it's my turn to shoot, I'll ask the person standing next to me, hey, do you mind just taking a step back just so I have room to shoot? I have never, and I say never, had anybody give me an issue with that. I do the exact same thing if somebody's shooting next to me and I'm next to them. Sometimes they'll ask me, sometimes, and for the most part, I don't even have to be asked, right? So if somebody's shooting next to me and I'm standing next to them, I'll get my bets in and I'll just take half a step back. They have plenty of room, I'm not on top of them. They can't get mad at me for anything like that. So yes, they can get crowded, but make sure that there's room at the table if there is. And like I said, just ask somebody to take a step back. All they're going to do is most likely say yes. And if they say no, well then they're just not really a nice person. And for the most part, they should want to take a step back. All right, so the second thing I see a lot is, especially with beginners, not knowing your bankroll. What do I mean by bankroll? The money you come with to play, how much you're willing to risk, because it is gambling. right? You're not guaranteed to win. So you come with a certain amount of money. That's what you're there to play with. If you win, great. If you lose, you do lose. But knowing what your bankroll is very important in the game of craps. I actually was at the casino this past weekend for the divisional playoff round for the NFL on Saturday. And I was at the craps table, I was playing with one of my buddies, and there was a guy next to us who bought in for $200. A couple minutes later, he lost the $200. Puts down another 200. A few things later, loses the other 200. He goes into his wallet and he grabbed his last 100 out of his wallet, puts it down, lost that pretty quickly. He asked the dealer to save his spot. Went to the ATM, pulled out more money, comes back, starts putting more money down. Does he have an unlimited amount of funds to play with? Maybe. But as a good rule of thumb or a good idea is come to the table with the amount you're willing to lose. Again, it's gambling. Try not to be, sitting there like hoping that the table's going to get better. I've been on tables that have been so cold sometimes that they just don't get better. So be willing to, lose whatever your bankroll is and walk away. Don't keep trying to go to the ATM, pull money out, and just hope for the table to get better. And that kind of leads me into like a mistake 2.5, we can call it, which is not knowing when to leave the table. If you go through your bankroll, you might want to leave the table. If you see that the table is very cold, well, by cold I mean shooters are getting a point, maybe one roll later, two rolls later, they 7 out. Very few strategies are going to be making money unless you're playing the don't pass on those type of shooters. But before you lose your entire bankroll, it might be better to just walk away from the table. So, you have to keep that in mind. Again, it's gambling. You have to know what you're willing to lose. Goes back to bankroll management. Also, the reverse of that. You might have a really hot shooter, has a long roll. You do really well. Sometimes it's better to take that win that you just had, color up, walk away. You can come back later, you can do something else later, but those long rolls sometimes are few and far in between. So you could have a big roll, you win a bunch of money. By the time the dice come around the table again, you could have lost that exact amount you just won. So again, know when to walk away from the table. The third mistake that I see very, very often is sticking with the same strategy even though it's not working for you. Now, you may not be very well versed on all different types of craps strategies. That's fine. There's videos on YouTube. You're watching mine right now. You can type in craps strategies. You can go to the channel and look at the strategies that I've gone over already. I will be going over a ton more, right? But there's not one way to play the game of craps. Try to have a couple different ways in your head before you go to the casino, different strategies you could play depending on how the table is going. Far too often, especially with beginners, I see them playing the same strategy. It doesn't work. They keep playing the strategy, and it might be their first time in the casino, might have a terrible experience and never want to play the game of craps again. That's fine, but using the one strategy the whole time isn't the best thing to do if you want to play craps for a long time or you want to have a good overall experience. Now, personally, I have one strategy that I play most often when I go to the casino. Now, that doesn't mean I don't change my strategy based on how the table is playing, right? So I have one strategy, but if I see, again, a cold table, a lot of 0.7s, I'll change my strategy up. If my strategy isn't working on a couple shooters, I'm going to change my strategy up. Sometimes my strategy works out great. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just part of the game. So know a couple different strategies when you go. Again, you can Google crap strategies. You can look them up on YouTube. You can look at my channel. There's a couple there right now. There will be more coming for different strategies. But there's so much knowledge that's available to us right now, and there's a ton, and I mean a ton, of different crap strategies out there. You may not like the strategy. You may not fully understand the strategy. Pick a different strategy. Pick an easier strategy. Also, if you want, you can bring a card to the table. So take a piece of paper, write down how the strategy works out, and you can use that at the table. Now, I will mind you that if you use a phone, you're going to have to turn away from the table because you can't have your phone out at the table. The dealers will correct you, but a piece of paper, they won't correct you. But if you do have it on your phone, you keep it under the table, or just turn away. But just write it down. And if you have questions, just ask the questions. So for number 4 with beginners, the one thing that I see so often is not collecting your profit when you have it. And what do I mean by that? Now, on a 0.7, it's going to be tough to collect any profit, but some of these strategies are built to be playing with house money. Yes, it's technically your money, but your initial investment out of your bankroll is recovered. So what do I mean by that, right? So let's say you want to go and cover across all the numbers, say $10 table, right? So I put 10, put 12 here, right? We'll cap the 6 and the 8, right? And let's say you get 3 hits, right? Just as an example, right? So let's say your first roll, I'll just roll it out and you can see what it is, right? So 6. So 6, you win $14, right? Collect the $14. Some people will tell you, oh, you gotta press it, you gotta press it. You can. There's strategies that involve it. With my strategies and the way I play personally, I collect my initial investment first and then I start pressing. So I'll show it out a little bit more. So there is a 6 there, right? 2, we don't have anything. 5, right? So the 5 also pays 14, right? Now we have $28 that we've collected. Now we do have more invested, right? But we have 28. So let's go for, hope for one more hit here. 4. 10 on the 4 is going to pay 18, right? We've got our $18. So this is what we've collected so far. Now, what I would do is I would take the money here, right? This is money that we have won now, and use this to pay for the bets that I'm actually placing. So I'll take these down. I'll ask the dealer, take me down to, let's say, 44 inside on this example, right? Now, I'll put this over here. This was my initial investment. I'm going to ask for 44 inside, which is on a $10 table, minimum units on the 5, 6, 8, and 9. Right? We'll cap the 8, the 6, and we need another 5 here, but we have $5 here. You've made $2, right? But your initial investment is back, so you're technically up $2 on that shooter. Now is when you should be pressing and doing things like that. If you want to try to win more and be more risky, you can press right away. You can do whatever you want. Statistics may say that it's better. I like to be a little bit more conservative. I'll wait till I have the money that I won, and then I'll use that to press, because now my initial investment out of my bankroll is safe for this shooter. Not overall, but safe for this shooter. I'm playing with money that I've already won. The casino's paid me. It's what they call house money, right? So now if I'm rolling, right, 6 comes out, my $12 6 is going to pay me 14, right? Yeah, maybe now I'll press it. If you want, you can full press it. You take your 2 change, now you have a $24 6, but you still took another $2 back off that shooter. It's up to you what you want to do with your strategy and stuff, but just know that you should be collecting your profit. It could work the exact opposite way if I was pressing these all up and then a 7 came out. I could maybe have won these $6, but a 7 comes and I lose $60 or more. So know when to take your profit, because again, it can lead to a very bad experience if you just press right away. You're just putting your money out more at risk, and then a 7 comes, and then you're going to have, you're going to be losing money on that shooter. Now, that's not to say that this is foolproof, that the shooter will guaranteed to make you money every single time. But on these long rolls, you can make a lot of money with house money by saving your own initial investment. Also, on short rolls, right? So I had 3 hits here. Let's say the 7 came right out. Well, if I was pressing all these numbers, I'd be out probably close to $60, $70. Now, I actually profited $2 on that shooter. It's not a lot, but the initial $64 investment that I made, it's still in my bankroll, still lives to fight another day. All right, so the 5th thing that I'm only going over 5 today. There's many more mistakes. People may say there's different orders and stuff, but for number 5, we are going to say that not knowing payouts, not knowing different strategies, or listening to everyone else at the table with what strategy they're playing. So first, I'm gonna go into the payouts. Quick Google search before you go to the table. You can kind of understand the payouts. You can refer to it. Also, you can ask the dealers. You can ask people at the table. Now, mind you, people at the table may not know everything. It's probably better to ask the dealer. When you do ask the dealer about the payouts, please do not ask the dealer what's the payout on every single box number and then just play like a pass line or a field. You're wasting the dealer's time. They have a lot of bets coming in. So if you're gonna bet a number, you can ask the payout, or every once in a while, like, hey, if I bet the 8, what would my payout be? And they can tell you. But don't come up to the table, just play one thing and then be asking what all the payouts are. The dealers are very busy, they have a lot going on, and it can disrupt them when they're dealing. So just have a general knowledge of the payouts. There's a video, I'll link it below, that I did that has all of the payouts. Again, quick Google search will tell you the payouts. I'll throw a screenshot up of CRAPS payouts. Have a general knowledge of them before you go to the table. I know a lot of people like the game because people are playing with everybody. It's a good time. So it's okay to be a beginner at the CRAPS table. You can always ask. You learn as you go. But when I was referring back to talking to people at the table and stuff, now you'll see quite a bit of different strategies at the table. Some may work, some may not. Just be careful if you're going to just copy someone's strategy. They may have a bigger bankroll than you. They may have a more efficient strategy. They may like risk better. So just be mindful of that. I've been at tables where I've been a bigger roller on the table. I've been at tables where I've been very, very short bankroll compared to some of the people that are playing. So their strategies wouldn't work for me. My strategy may not work for other people. Again, comes back to bankroll management. You can ask them questions about their strategy. You can learn their strategy. If you want to play it, that's up to you. But don't just take someone's strategy that they're playing at the table and just copy it. Because I've seen it a couple times with beginners, right? I'll be playing, and let's say I have a $500 bankroll that I'm playing with, or a $1,000 bankroll that I'm playing with, right? Let's call it 1,000 for this example. So I'm playing whatever strategy I'm playing at the time. A guy with $200 comes up to me, or comes up next to me, and just gonna copy the strategy that I play. I may have $100 at risk. I may have $200 at risk. I may have a good amount of money on the table. I may have their entire bankroll on the table. If the 7 comes, they just lost everything, and then they go, "Oh, that strategy sucks." It might suck. It might not be a good strategy, but within my bankroll, I know that I have X amount of shooters. I have this much money. I'm willing to throw this much out right now. Somebody else may not have that. So if you're going to copy someone's strategy at the table, be very mindful of it, and just know that not everybody's playing with the same amount of money. Not everybody's playing the same way. You don't know how big of a gambler this person could be. They could lose thousands every time they come to the casino. They could win thousands every time they come to the casino. You don't know. So just be very mindful if you're going to copy someone's strategy with your bankroll. What I would suggest if you do want to copy someone's strategy is take note of what they're doing, kind of play it over in your head, figure out if it's something that works for you, for your bankroll. You can go on like a free CRAPS roller online or something and see how it works. If there's a strategy you see and you want me to roll it out, drop it in the comments. You can DM me on Instagram with the strategy. I'll roll it out for you and I can show you how it works. But again, just be mindful. So those are 5 things that I see at the casino a lot. Now, these are my 5 things, my personal opinion. They're, dealers may have a different opinion. I'm not a craps dealer, so I'm not at the casino every day seeing what's going on. This is just what I see when I play a lot. So those are the mistakes. Hopefully you guys learned something. You can try to avoid them. Like I said, if there's something you want to see rolled out, a strategy, or if you have questions or anything, drop a comment. You can DM me on Instagram. I'll try to get to the questions or whatever strategies you want to see. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.